Welcome to another Devo. Hopefully you had a good Easter weekend. Maybe you overdosed on protein from all the boiled eggs that you ate. Maybe you were able to paint some eggs or have an Easter egg hunt in your homes. Hopefully you find all those Easter eggs or you're going to have a smelly summer. Maybe you're on a sugar crash from all the Easter candy that you consumed over the weekend. But I hope this Devo finds you well. Last time we talked about dealing with our expectations or with the unexpected. We talked about how unexpected it was out of all the brothers that David had, he would be chosen to be the next king. And now another situation comes up that's unexpected when we look at David again. Again, he's a young boy watching over his sheep, and God calls him to do an unexpected thing to show God's power and what can happen when we trust in him. Let's take a look at 1 Samuel chapter 17. Now, if we look at this verse, we first see that the Israelites are preparing for battle. The Israelites are on one side, and the Philistines are on the other. The problem here is, though, that we see the Philistines have a champion in Goliath. This guy has a bronze helmet on his head. He wore a coat of scaled armor, also made of bronze, which weighed 5,000 shekels. On his legs were bronze greaves. He had a bronze javelin that hung on his back. And he had a spear that had a point on it of iron that was 600 shekels. Now imagine Goliath is standing right before you. And he says, "Am I not a Philistine? Are you not servants of Saul? Pick a man, any man you want, and I'll fight him. And if he wins, we will become your servants. But if I win, you will become our servants." Now Saul and the other Israelites are terrified. They're scared, and rightfully so. If we look at scripture again, it says that his coat of armor was 5,000 shekels of bronze. That's equivalent to 78 pounds. Just the tip of his spear was about 11 pounds, and the average sword of the Israelite army was 2.5 pounds. Goliath's 15 pounds. They have a problem staring them right in the face. We have problems that creep up on us or come upon us like a bulldozer. Maybe they're expected, maybe they're unexpected. But when they reach us, it may seem pretty difficult to deal with. It may seem impossible to deal with. And we see Saul here is supposed to be their leader. He's supposed to be trusting in God. He's supposed to be the one with courage. He is their best chance at fighting Goliath. And he's scared. And the people are looking to him. He's terrified. They're waiting for him to volunteer. But does he? Let's take a look. As we continue in chapter 17, verse 22, we see here a boy named David. He's curious as to what's going on. He wants to check on his brothers, so he goes to the battlefield. He sees Goliath step out and insult the Israelites, insult God. He wants to know what's going on. He sees this man defying Israel, defying God. And he hears the whispers of the man who kills Goliath will receive wealth, will receive the daughter of the king in marriage, will be exempt from taxes. One of David's brothers hears him asking about what's going on and says, "Aren't you supposed to be dealing with the sheep? I know what you're doing. You have a conceited and wicked heart just to come down here and watch the battle." Now Saul gets word that David is around, and he calls David to come see him. David speaks to him and says, "Do not fear." He says, "Don't lose heart. Your servant is here, and we'll fight this Philistine." Of course, I'm sure we can imagine the reaction of Saul saying, "You're just a young boy. You're so small." I believe they think he was about 5'2". And you're going to take on Goliath? I don't think so. But David said, "Let me fight." Why? Because the Lord is with me. I fought off lions. I fought off bears. I've killed them to protect the sheep. Not by my own power, but because God was with me. And I believe that God is with me through this, and I believe that I can take this guy and do this to bring glory and honor to God and his people. So they try to put him in some battle armor. Of course, he was too small for it. So he takes his slingshot and 5 stones, and he goes to face Goliath. Goliath is literally twice his size, carrying full armor and weapons. Goliath basically laughs at him and says, "I will give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David's response is this: "You may have a sword, a spear, a javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." Now David grabs his sling and a rock, and as Goliath comes toward him, he slings it. He hits Goliath dead in the forehead, and it digs into his forehead, and he falls on the ground to his face. David takes his own sword and chops off his head and defeats Goliath. The story lets us know that no matter what we're going through, no matter how big our problems may seem, if we will trust in God, if we will know his strength and allow his strength to be poured into our lives with the trials and temptations that we deal with, we can have confidence that he will help us defeat our enemies, whatever they may be. How unexpected for David to kill Goliath. But how expected is a God that will take care of us, that will be there for us, that will fight for us. In the end, we will be victorious, but we are going to come across some battles, some easier to deal with, and some really tough. What's a battle that you're facing right now? And you could use some prayers from friends, family, the church. What's a battle that you've faced and you've not trusted in God to deal with that? And so maybe you've tried to deal with it yourself, and maybe it's worked out some. But I know in my case, when I've tried to deal with my own battles, I end up falling flat on my face. I rely on those around me, my friends, my family. And ultimately, God is the one who can give us victory over the things we struggle with. Where is your hope? Where is your trust? If we'll give those things over to God, he will help us fight those battles. If we dig into his teaching, we will have the knowledge and be able to put on the armor that we need to fight whatever Satan throws at us. Are we putting our hope? Are we putting our trust? Are we putting God's teachings to work in our life? When we do, doesn't matter the expected or the unexpected, our enemies, our trials, our temptations will fall flat on their face. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Have a great week.